I spent 30 days trying to make money online, and by day 7, I was already questioning every life decision I've ever made. Everyone online says it's easy. It's not. Some of it works. Most of it is complete nonsense. And one method almost made me quit entirely. Stick with me, because what actually worked surprised me, and what didn't might be exactly what you're doing right now. Also, if you want more brutally honest money tips and even more absurd financial truths, join our Telegram channel. Link is in the description below. So here was the deal I made with myself. 30 days, no excuses, no overthinking, just pure execution. I wanted to answer one simple question. Can a normal person actually make money online? Starting from zero? Not build a brand for 5 years? Not learn high-income skills for a decade? I mean, right now, this month, real money. Because, let's be honest, you've seen the same videos I have. Make $500 a day with AI. Dropshipping is still alive. Copy and paste this and get paid. And after a while, you start thinking, either everyone is secretly rich or everyone is lying. So I decided to test it. Day 1 started exactly how you'd expect. Motivation, energy, coffee. That dangerous level of confidence where you think, yeah, I'm probably going to figure this out faster than most people. I opened my laptop and wrote down every method I've ever heard of. Freelancing, dropshipping, print-on-demand, affiliate marketing, selling digital products, content creation, random AI side hustles. It looked simple on paper. Pick one, go all in, make money. But here's the first mistake almost everyone makes. They try to pick the best thing. I wasted almost 6 hours just researching, watching videos, reading Reddit threads, comparing opinions. And here's what I realized. Every method works, and every method is also a complete waste of time, depending on who you are. That was the first uncomfortable truth. There is no best way to make money online. There's only what you'll actually stick with long enough to not quit. So instead of choosing perfectly, I chose quickly. Freelancing. Why? Because it didn't require money up front. No ads, no inventory, no waiting, just skill to offer to money. Simple. At least, that's what I thought. Day 2. Reality hits. I created a profile on a freelance platform. Nothing fancy, just a basic description. I can help with writing, simple tasks, and online work. And then I did what everyone tells you to do. I started sending proposals. First one, ignored. Second one, ignored. Third one, ignored. After 15 messages, nothing. No replies, no views, just silence. And this is where most people quit. Not because it's hard, but because it's invisible. You're putting in effort and getting zero feedback. No money, no progress, no signal that you're even close. It messes with your head. By day 3, I started questioning everything. Maybe freelancing is dead. Maybe the market is saturated. Maybe I need a different method. But then I caught myself. This is exactly what people do. They switch too early. So instead of quitting, I changed the approach. Instead of sending generic messages, I made them specific. Instead of saying, I can help you with writing, I started saying things like, I saw your product page. Your description is missing emotional triggers. I can rewrite it to increase conversions. Same skill, different framing. And suddenly, something happened. Day 4. First reply. Not a yes, not money, just a human response. And weirdly, that felt like progress. Because now I knew I wasn't invisible anymore. By day 5, I got my first small job. $5. Yeah, $5. Let's be honest, it's nothing. But psychologically, it's everything. Because now the game changes. You're not trying to make money online anymore. You've done it. Even if it's small, even if it's laughable, it proves something most people never experience. This is real. But here's where it gets interesting. That $5 took me almost 2 hours, which means I was making $2.50 per hour. That's when the second brutal truth hit. Making money online is easy. Making good money online is hard. There's a massive difference. Anyone can eventually make a few dollars. But turning that into something scalable, that's where most people fail. And I was about to find out why. Because over the next few days, I started getting more small jobs. $5, $10, $15. Nothing impressive, but consistent. And for a moment, I thought I cracked it. I remember sitting there thinking, okay, if I just keep doing this, I can scale it. But then I did the math. Even if I worked 8 hours a day, I'd barely make $40 to $60. And suddenly, this didn't feel like freedom anymore. It felt like a worse job. Same time, less money, more uncertainty. And that's the trap nobody talks about. Online money isn't automatically better. In fact, in the beginning, it's usually worse. Lower pay, no stability, no structure. You have to build everything from scratch. Clients, skills, systems, discipline. Nobody tells you that part. They just show you the result. The laptop, the coffee shop, the I made $10,000 this month screenshot. But they skip the phase where you're making $7 and questioning your entire existence. By day 7, I hit my first real wall. Not financially, mentally, because the excitement was gone. Now it was just repetition. Send messages, do small tasks, wait, repeat. And this is where it gets dangerous, because your brain starts negotiating with you. Maybe this isn't worth it. You could just get a normal job. This is taking too long. And honestly, that voice sounds very reasonable. That's what makes it so dangerous. But I decided to keep going, because I wasn't just testing if I can make money. I was testing if I can survive the phase where nothing feels worth it yet. And that phase is where almost everyone disappears. Around day 8, something shifted. Not in my bank account, in my thinking. Up until that point, I was acting like an employee trapped inside a freelance platform, waiting for instructions, waiting for someone to pick me, hoping that if I just did more, something would magically click. But nothing clicks when you're replaceable. That's the real problem. At $5 to $10 per task, you're not a person, you're a button someone clicks because you're cheap enough. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. I remember looking at one job posting. It had 50 proposals already. 50. And most of them sounded exactly the same. I can do this quickly and efficiently. I have experience. Pick me. It felt like watching 50 people raise their hand in a classroom, hoping the teacher notices them. That's not a business. That's a lottery. So I asked myself a different question. Not, how do I get more jobs? But, how do I stop competing with 50 people at once? That question changed everything. Instead of chasing jobs, I started looking for problems, very specific ones. I went back to the listings, but this time I wasn't looking for easy tasks. I was looking for pain, real frustration, someone who clearly didn't just want cheap work, they wanted a result. And you can actually feel the difference when you read those posts. There was one guy selling a small product online. His page looked, okay. Not terrible, but also not convincing. You know that feeling when you land on a website and nothing is wrong, but nothing makes you want to buy either? That was it. So, instead of sending a normal proposal, I recorded a quick 2-minute video. Nothing fancy, just my screen and my voice. I pointed out 3 things that could be improved: the headline, the structure, and one emotional hook that was completely missing. Then I sent it. No pitch, no hire me, just value. And then I waited. That same day, he replied. Not just a reply, a real conversation. He didn't ask about my experience. He didn't ask for my portfolio. He said, "Can you fix this for me?" That was the first time it felt different. Not like I was applying, but like I was being invited. We agreed on $30, still not crazy money. But here's what mattered. It took me less time. It felt more meaningful. And for the first time, I wasn't competing on price. I was competing on clarity. And that's when the third brutal truth hit. People don't pay for effort. They pay for solved problems. Think about it. Nobody wakes up thinking, I want to hire someone for 2 hours. They think, I need this fixed. Time is your problem. Results are theirs. And once I understood that, everything started to shift. By day 10, I stopped offering tasks. I stopped saying, I can write, I can help, I'm available. Instead, I started saying things like, I'll rewrite your product page so more people actually buy. I'll improve your email so it doesn't get ignored. I'll fix your landing page so it makes sense. Same skill, completely different perception. And here's the crazy part. I didn't get more responses, but I got better ones. Fewer people replied, but the ones who did were serious. One client paid me $50 for something that used to go for $10. Same effort, different framing. That's when I realized something uncomfortable. A lot of people aren't underpaid, they're just unclear. By day 12, I had a small flow going. A few clients, a bit of consistency. Nothing life-changing, but enough to feel momentum. And this is where things get dangerous again. Because now you start thinking, okay, this is working. And your brain immediately jumps to, how do I scale this? But here's the problem. You don't scale something that barely works. You strengthen it first. And I almost made that mistake. I thought about creating packages, raising prices immediately, trying to optimize everything. But the truth is, I wasn't ready. So instead, I did something boring. I repeated what worked, over and over. Same process, same type of clients, same approach. And something interesting happened. I got faster, not just technically, mentally. I stopped overthinking every message. I stopped doubting every decision. I started trusting the process. And when that happens, your output doubles, without you noticing. By day 15, I looked at the numbers. Total earned, around $180. Not impressive. But here's what mattered. It was consistent, and more importantly, it was predictable. I knew that if I sent 10 good proposals, I'd likely get 1 to 2 responses. If I solved a real problem, I'd get paid. That predictability is everything, because now you're not guessing anymore. You're operating. But then something unexpected happened. I got a message from someone who said, "Hey, I saw your previous work. Can you help me with something bigger?" And this is where things got interesting, because bigger sounds good until you realize it also means more responsibility, more expectations, more chances to mess it up. He wanted help rewriting multiple pages. We agreed on $120. That was my biggest deal so far. And I remember thinking, okay, this is it. This is where things level up. But what nobody tells you is, bigger money comes with bigger pressure. Suddenly, I wasn't just doing a task, I was responsible for an outcome. And that changes how you think. You double-check everything. You overanalyze. You spend more time than necessary. Because now, you care more. And ironically, that can slow you down. I spent way too long on that project. Way more than I should have. Not because it was hard, but because I didn't want to mess it up. And this is another hidden trap. When you start making more money, you start playing not to lose, instead of playing to win. And that shift can quietly kill your progress. I delivered the work. The client was happy, paid in full. But when I calculated the time, my hourly rate actually dropped. And that's when the fourth brutal truth hit. More money doesn't always mean better money. You can charge more and still be stuck. Because if your process is inefficient, you're just earning more stress per hour. So I had to adjust again. Not the skill, not the offer, the system. I started timing myself, not in a strict way, just awareness. How long does this actually take? And I noticed patterns. Some things took too long. Some didn't matter as much as I thought. So I simplified, cut unnecessary steps, stopped over-polishing, focused on what actually moves the result. And slowly, things started to feel lighter, faster, cleaner. By day 18, I had something I didn't have before. Not just income, not just clients, a system. And that's when it finally clicked. Making money online isn't about finding the perfect method. It's about building something repeatable, something you can do again, without starting from zero. Because starting from zero is exhausting, and most people are stuck there forever. They try something, quit, try something else, reset, over and over, and they never realize. The problem isn't the method, it's the lack of consistency long enough to see it work. But I was about to learn, even when something works, it doesn't mean it will last. Around day 19, things started to feel weirdly stable. Not exciting, not explosive, just working. And that's actually more dangerous than struggling. Because when things are bad, you're alert, you're learning, you're adapting. But when things are okay, you relax. You stop questioning. You assume you figured it out. And that's exactly where I almost messed everything up. For a few days, I was just repeating the same loop. Messages, clients, small wins, nothing dramatic. But I noticed something subtle. I was getting comfortable doing low-risk work, safe tasks, predictable outcomes, no surprises. And on the surface, that sounds smart. But long-term, that's how you trap yourself. Because safe work usually means low leverage. You trade time for slightly better money, but you're still trading time. And one night, I caught myself doing the math again. If I keep this pace, maybe I can make $800, maybe $1,000 a month, which sounds fine, until you realize the cost. Hours every day, constant effort, no real upside. And I had this uncomfortable thought. I didn't come here to build another job. That's when I realized something most make money online videos never say clearly. There are two completely different games happening. Game 1, make money. Game 2, build leverage. Most people get stuck in the first one because it feels productive. You're earning, you're busy, you're improving, but you're also capped. There's a limit to how many hours you can work. There's a limit to how much you can do manually, and if your income depends entirely on your time, you didn't escape anything. You just changed the environment. So, around day 20, I made a decision. I wasn't going to quit freelancing, but I wasn't going to rely on it either. I needed something that works, even when I'm not working. And this is where things got messy again, because now I had to enter a completely different world. Content. I'd avoided it at first because it felt slow. No immediate money, no guarantees, just effort, with delayed results. But now it made sense. Freelancing gave me cash flow. Content could give me leverage. So I started simple. No fancy setup, no overthinking, just my phone. And one idea. Document what I'm learning. That's it. Not teach, not pretend to be an expert. Just share what's actually happening. Day 21. First video. I talked about how sending generic proposals gets ignored. Posted it and waited. Nothing. No views, no likes, no comments, which, honestly, was expected. But still, it hits you. Because now you're back at zero. Different platform, same feeling, invisible again. And this is where most people quit content. Not because it's hard, but because it's silent. No feedback, no validation, no signal. It feels like talking into a void. But I kept going, one video a day. Simple ideas, things I wish someone told me before I started. Day 23. One video got 300 views. Not viral, not crazy, but enough to feel something. Because now there was proof. Someone out there saw it. Day 24. Another video did 800 views. And here's where it gets interesting. A comment popped up. Hey, can you help me with this? That sentence changed everything. Because now, the loop connected. Content to attention to opportunity. Not guaranteed, but possible. And that's all you need. Possibility, I replied. We talked. He became a client. $40. Not huge, but completely different. Because this time, I didn't chase him. He came to me. And that's when the fifth brutal truth hit. Chasing money is exhausting. Attracting it is scalable. One requires constant effort. The other builds momentum. And for the first time, I saw how this could actually grow. Not just linearly, but exponentially. So I doubled down. Not on perfection, on consistency. Because here's what I noticed. The videos that performed better weren't the best ones. They were the most real ones. The ones where I just said, this is what I tried. This is what happened. No hype, no fake success, just honest experience. And people felt that because most content online is polished lies. Make $10,000 in 7 days. Quit your job instantly. Passive income while you sleep. It sounds good, but it feels fake. And when something feels fake, people scroll. But when something feels real, they stop. By day 26, I had a small audience. Nothing crazy, but enough to notice patterns, what people cared about, what they ignored, what made them respond. And this is where something unexpected happened. I stopped thinking like a freelancer and started thinking like a creator. Instead of asking, how do I get clients? I started asking, what do people actually want to understand? Because attention is the real currency online. Money follows attention, always. And once you understand that, everything changes. You're not just doing work anymore. You're building distribution, and distribution is power. By day 27, I had a moment that honestly surprised me. I woke up, checked my messages, and there were 3 people asking for help. Not from proposals, not from outreach, from content. That had never happened before, and it felt different. Because now, I wasn't starting from zero every day. Something was compounding, slowly, but clearly. And that's when it hit me. The real difference between people who make money online and people who stay stuck isn't intelligence. It's not skill. It's not even luck. It's whether they survive long enough to build momentum. Because in the beginning, everything feels like nothing. No money, no growth, no proof. And most people quit right there. But if you push past that, something shifts. Small wins turn into patterns. Patterns turn into systems. Systems turn into income. Not instantly, but inevitably. And for the first time, I wasn't just hoping this would work. I could see how it works. But there was still one problem. And it's the one nobody wants to talk about. Even when things start working, your brain still tries to pull you back. By day 28, things were working. Not perfectly, not smoothly, but undeniably working. I had a few clients coming in without chasing them. I had content getting views. I had money coming in, not a lot, but enough to prove this wasn't random anymore. And weirdly, that's when the hardest part started. Because when nothing is working, your job is simple. Survive. Try. Don't quit. But when things start working, your job becomes much more complicated. Now you have to decide what to focus on, and every option feels important. Clients need replies, work needs to be done, content needs to be posted, new ideas keep popping up, and suddenly, you're busy again. Not broke, but busy. And I caught myself slipping into a familiar pattern. Wake up, check messages, do client work, think about content later, get tired, skip it. Repeat. It felt productive. It looked productive. But it wasn't moving things forward because I was feeding the short term and starving the long term. Freelancing paid me today. Content could pay me later. And without realizing it, I started prioritizing the thing that gives immediate feedback. That's human nature. Your brain loves quick rewards. It hates delayed ones. But here's the problem. If you only chase what pays today, you'll always have to work tomorrow. So I had to make a decision. Not a big dramatic one, just a small shift. Content first, every day, no matter what. Even if it's simple, even if it's not perfect, even if nobody watches. Because I already knew what happens when you skip it. Nothing. Literally nothing. So, day 29, I woke up, and instead of checking messages, I recorded a video. No script, just one idea. The first $100 online is the hardest. Not because it's difficult, but because it feels pointless. Posted it. Then I went back to client work. A few hours later, I checked. 2,000 views. And that moment felt different. Not because of the number, but because of what it represented. Leverage. That one video was working while I was doing something else. And that's the moment everything connects. Time-based work stops when you stop. Leverage-based work keeps going. And if you combine both, that's when things get interesting. By day 30, I sat down and looked at everything. Total money made, just over $400. Let's be honest, that's not life-changing. It's not quit your job money. It's not impressive, but it's real. And more importantly, it's explained. I knew exactly where it came from, what worked, what didn't. And that's something most people never get. They try things randomly, fail randomly, and quit confused. But here's the breakdown that actually matters. Freelancing worked, but it was slow at first. It only started working when I stopped being generic, when I stopped selling time and started solving problems. Content worked, but it was delayed. It felt useless until it suddenly wasn't, until one video connected and created opportunity, and the combination of both. That's where the real potential is. Short-term cash plus long-term leverage. But here's the part nobody wants to hear. None of this was easy. Not technically. Technically, it's simple. Send messages, do work, post content. Anyone can understand that. But mentally, it's exhausting. Because every day, your brain is fighting you, telling you it's too slow, that it's not working, that you're wasting time, even when there's evidence that you're not. And that's the real game, not skills, not strategies, endurance. Can you keep going when the results are small, when the progress is invisible, when nobody cares yet? Because that phase is where almost everyone quits. Not because they can't do it, because they can't tolerate it. And I get it. It's uncomfortable to work on something. That doesn't immediately pay off. It feels irrational, like you're behind, like you're missing something. But the truth is, that's the price of building something real. Delayed reward, no shortcuts, no guarantees, just small actions, repeated long enough. And here's the final thing I realized after 30 days. Making money online isn't special. It's not some secret system. It's just a different environment, with the same rules. Value to attention to money. Solve something useful. People will pay. Show something valuable. People will notice. Do it consistently, and it compounds. That's it. No magic. But also, no limits. Because unlike a normal job, there's no ceiling. The only thing stopping you is whether you keep going long enough to reach the part where it actually works. And most people never do, not because they can't, because they stop at day 7, or day 12, or right before it starts making sense. So if you're watching this and thinking, yeah, but I tried something and it didn't work. I get it. I was there. Multiple times, in just 30 days. But the difference between this doesn't work and this is starting to work is usually just time. A little more patience, a few more iterations, a slightly better approach. That's it. Not a new method, not a secret trick, just not quitting too early. And if there's one thing I'd tell you after all this, it's this. Don't chase the fastest money. Chase the thing you can repeat without burning out, because that's the only thing that actually turns into something bigger. Everything else just feels like progress.